I'm gonna show you how to train like an athlete into your 30s and 40s, and we're gonna start right now. So what does it mean to actually train like an athlete? These are all factors and issues that we covered inside the Sports Performance Bible. You can focus on high rates of coordination with technical coordination movements, like a dumbbell snatch. You can do absolute strength movements. Within reason, you can train dynamic trunk control work at slow speeds, where you really want to focus on stability and what that trunk's doing, trying to squeeze through the abs while you hold a stable foot. Or you could even do explosive work with a hydro weight going side to side, but you're still going to be focusing on that dynamic trunk control so that you're not collapsing all over the place. This is going to help with your abs, with your back, so when you're outside, you're picking things up, you have better control, and you're preventing those random injuries that you might be getting otherwise as an older 30 or 40 something. And you can even train plyometric work, keeping it simple at your own tempo, at your own pace, and at your own ability. So if you're explosive, you can raise these up if you want. If you can't jump over a hurdle this height, lower it, but use plyometrics to help improve your overall athletic ability at that older age. You can use speed training so that you can keep beating your 11-year-old in sprints in the backyard and make sure that your ego can continue to grow. I know from experience. You should prioritize your nutrition just like an athlete should. I even like to do simple mobility exercises because I need to stay limber just like an athlete. All of these are keys behind training like an athlete. So if you're of the age of 30, even up to the age of 50, why wouldn't we want to train this way? This can be fun, enjoyable, and your body can handle it as long as you take it step by step with a logical progression. So implement plyometrics at your scale. It's just like when you're training athletes that are younger. We're not just gonna throw kids into doing crazy jumps, crazy hurdle hops, crazy stair jumps. We're not just gonna throw kids in that, we're gonna build them up. So if we're gonna be training that high rate of coordination, that's gonna transfer over to regular life. If we slip, we can brace ourselves as we get older. But one of those things is you can do simple just bunny hops here, and this is gonna help with that faster rate of coordination. If you're a little bit more pliable, you feel stronger, you feel confident as an older athlete, instead of just doing bunny hops, you can do bounds, and you're able to train that high speed coordination. But remember, you have to do it at your speed, at your tempo, so that you don't risk injury. Another way that you can train as an athlete as you get older is to use instability or use unstable object-based training. This can help with your warm-up, it can help make things more complicated, it can help increase your rate of coordination. We have our balance pad here, this is available at garagestrength.com. We also like to use our PVC pipe, so we can warm up here walking on our PVC pipe, right? And if this is too complicated, this is something that you're struggling with, what you can do is go on the balance pad. You can use this and work through different positions here, just doing something like a hip lock, or you can go down and do an airplane. That's challenging, right? So over time, over time, you start to deal with these unstable positions, but it's a great way to get a good workout, raise your body temperature, and challenge yourself as an athlete who's older. We can even look at technical coordination movements as a challenging mental drill. So if I'm older, I'm about 40 years old, give or take a couple years, I can pick this up if I want to learn a new technique. Let's say I want to learn a high hang power snatch. If I want to really challenge myself mentally, I can get a little bit more precise, a little bit more efficient with my movement. And not only is that going to help me as an athlete, it's going to help me stay sharp inside this giant dome. Absolute strength training is cool, but high rep hypertrophy work is even cooler. Getting blood flow, increasing that mechanical tension that can lead to more stable joints and a healthier overall body. Push heavy weights here and there. Get a pump in that upper body. Make sure that you feel stable, and you don't have to kill yourself. Just go with 20s, 25s. Try and get 30 to 35 reps, burn a lot of calories, and feel good. Do hypertrophy leg-based training. It can help improve the health of your knees, lead to bigger quads, and of course, burn a ton of calories. Oh, why are my quads still small? Not only is it important to get the pump when you're in the weight room, it's also important to get a pump in other aspects of life. And that's exactly why you should check out today's video sponsor, Roman. We all want to feel that confidence, that physical preparedness, like we did back in our 20s. But what gets in the way is oftentimes erectile dysfunction. In fact, over 52% of men suffer from ED, but Roman is trying their best to change that. Roman is a digital health clinic for men that allows you to be evaluated, diagnosed, and receive treatment for ED, all from the comfort of your own home. They will connect you directly with a licensed US healthcare practitioner for a free telehealth consultation, and if appropriate, the provider will find the treatment that is right for you and prescribe the effective medication. The whole process is super easy. So if you think this is something that'll help you, head over to getroman.com/garagestrength and execute your free consultation to find out what medication is right for you. And by using our link, you'll get $15 off your first month of ED treatment from Roman. Again, that's getroman.com/garagestrength. Now that we got you performing like you're back in your 20s, it's time to get back to training like you're in your 20s. We can do high speed movements that are gonna focus on dynamic trunk control. So DTC can improve your falling mechanics. Pretend I'm walking along, maybe I trip, I'm stumbled down the steps, which I've done, and I land here. Because I have decent dynamic trunk control, I can pause and catch myself. You know, same thing if I fall, if I land bilaterally, I'm here, oh, I'm here. If I didn't have that trunk control, I would collapse in my hips and I might fall forward and end up stumbling further. So if we're training that as an athlete, that's gonna help with agility. As we get older, and we're 30, 40 years old, that's gonna help with bracing and falling and tripping and anything along those lines. That can lead to some catastrophic injury, like a broken hip. So a lot of times as we get older, we stop sprinting because we feel like, all right, well, you know, we're not playing football, we're not playing soccer anymore, I don't need to run. But the thing is that running is really, really healthy. Running sprints is extremely healthy and has even been shown to increase testosterone if you're doing it on a regular basis. Albeit it's at a lower level, but it's something that we should all be doing. It's that primal feeling of exercise that I feel is imperative as you age. So sprinting also helps with staying limber. It helps your hips be more mobile, but it also really helps with the stumble reflex. So let's pretend I'm older, I'm 47 years old, and I'm walking along, and as I'm walking, my foot gets stuck. So the stumble reflex would be, I'm walking and my foot gets stuck and my front foot stumbles forward. Front foot stumbles forward. So if we can work on that stumble reflex, I'm not saying that you should be training tripping over, but it will help prevent a trip because our body will stay more agile. Our body will fire much quicker. So sprinting is a great way to stay limber and prevent yourself from falling over. So one of the most important parts behind training like an athlete is also recovering like an athlete. We have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, that we're participating in mindfulness, we're getting some meditation, we're focusing on our nutrition. Stop being fat, Dane. And we're working through various positions in mobility, yoga, anything that's gonna help us feel better. Ultimately, we can all train like an athlete. It comes back to being patient, learning, and slowly increasing the load as you improve your training. With exercises that require a high rate of coordination, again, it's important to take it slowly, gradually build into those higher speeds to prevent injury. Because remember, when you're the age of 30 to 40 plus years old, it's not about really peaking in the athletic realm. It's more about having fun, being healthy, being stable. So it's important to take care of yourself. Keep pushing yourself, but within your own limitations. Don't go crazy. Enjoy your training. And that athlete training will improve your athleticism as you get older. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace. What's up, guys? Our podcast and our channel are sponsored by our own strength training app, Peak Strength. The entire focus of Peak Strength is to provide you guys with the absolute best sports performance app that you could ever imagine. We build out the programs on the back end. We take in all of these different decisions that we learned here on site at Garage Strength so that we can then apply it to you so you can improve your training. So if you guys want to improve your overall sports performance, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. Download Peak Strength. You'll get a free week of training, and then you can start getting on those gains, get those reps done so that you can become a champion. Now, let's get back to the video. Peace. I'm gonna give you the top 5 exercises that you can utilize to strength train as an old dude and we're gonna start right now. Okay, so that first exercise that we like to utilize when we're training old dudes, including myself, is that we want to utilize the trap bar deadlift. Now, one of the big things that I really like behind the trap bar deadlift is that you can get a decent range of motion, and it's pretty easy on your posterior chain, and it lights up your quads as well. So one of the big key factors, because it's not in front of you, it's not pulling you forward, that makes it a lot easier on your lower back, and that's where utilizing that trap bar is a big key factor. I'd recommend when you're hitting the trap bar, try to utilize, 4 to 5 sets of 5 reps, and then maybe you have 1 or 2 drop sets where you go down to like 50% of your max and you hit a big set of 20. So when you're feeling good, try and push heavier weight, but don't go heavy more than once or twice a month. Because as we get old, it takes a little bit longer for us to recover from those heavy deadlift sessions. The next key exercises for old dudes to utilize, The next key exercises for old dudes to use in the weight room to get nice and big, nice and swole, and stay healthy is a banded dumbbell bench. Now, bear with me here because I think this is really good for a lot of guys that have shoulder impingements. So you sit at a desk all day, you're hunched over, right? Or you benched your entire life back in the 80s and 90s when we didn't know anything about mobility or structural integrity, so you still have shoulder problems, you tore a labrum, whatever it is, this helps a lot. This band is gonna force your upper back to retract, okay? And it's gonna be in a better pressing position because you're gonna hold that neutral, okay? So we're here, press, and now at the top, my hands wanna come in, but I'm squeezing more in my upper back to stay in that groove, and it's gonna light up your upper back. Now, what I'm gonna do 3 more. Oh, that feels good. I'm gonna do 1 more actually. Oh. I wanna pair this with another movement, okay, a reclining row. And a lot of old guys, as they age, they don't wanna do any pulls. They don't wanna do pull-ups. It hurts my elbows or it hurts my back or I can't do them, so they're almost embarrassed. So what I want to do, I like to utilize these rings here so I get more range of motion when I'm doing that reclining row. And what helps with this, it's gonna help me feel the band even better when I'm pressing. So that upper back starts to really retract and I create that shelf, that foundation for when I'm pressing. If I don't have access to the rings, I can set up and use the bar. Okay, we can put a bar in a squat rack, go here, try and think sternum to the bar. Sternum to the bar, and now sternum to the bar position is almost exactly where you're gonna be when you're benching with a band around your wrist. It's a great exercise that helps you use your lats a little bit more and feel that bottom position of the bench while your whole shoulder girdle is nice and healthy. Okay, that 4th key exercise for old dudes to stay nice and fit, nice and strong is going to be sled pulls backwards. Now, doesn't always have to be backwards, but I like to train backwards a bit because it's gonna help with your stability, it's gonna help with your coordination as you're aging. It's gonna be easier on your knees, okay, and even easier on your Achilles tendon. So what I wanna do, if I've got access to a sled, in this case right here, in my sweet gym, garage shrink, we have a turf area, okay? So we can pull backwards, we can also push forward, or we can pull forward. But when we're using the sled, it's easy for us to gain strength and we don't have an eccentric load, okay? That's the big factor here. So if my knees are fatigued, maybe I've squatted a couple days prior, I still feel tight, my lower back's a little stressed, I can increase the strength of my quads, I can increase the strength of my posterior chain if I wanna pull forward, and I can use this sled for 20 to 30 minutes and feel really, really, really good after hitting that sled work. I always recommend old guys, pick up a sled and try to increase your proprioception by training backwards, training forward, and pushing forward. Okay, the number 1 exercise for old dudes to do, the reverse hyper. So I love the reverse hyper if it's got a locked in foot position. You can still do it without that locked in foot position if you have with just a strap, but you're gonna have a little bit better traction if you have the actual locked in foot position, okay? So the one big factor here, squeeze through your belly button, push down into that pad. And try and arch at the top. And keep those toes, ankles, dorsiflexed, okay? And try and think everything pulls from that lower back, glutes, and hamstrings. Now, the reason why I love utilizing this is that if you're an old dude and you're sitting on a plane or you're driving for a really long time, this is the best thing to open up that lower back, to help with the posture, to help you feel better, to recover from those heavy deads or those heavy squats. Utilize this all the time, as much as possible. If you don't have access to a reverse hyper, you get one of our power elastics and you could do banded good mornings, you could do glute ham, you could do back extension, but they don't replace the reverse hyper, okay? They're good, they can suffice for that lower back issue that a lot of old guys have, but I would still say get access to the reverse hyper. It's the #1 exercise for old dudes to stay healthy, feel good. If you're an old dude, you feel weak, you feel pathetic, you need to get back in shape, you wanna get stronger again, you wanna feel healthier, click on the link down below, head over to garagestrength.com, pick up our Ghost Face program. It's a program that I follow. It's 4 to 5 days a week. It's something that I use on a regular basis to help me feel good. Some days I can push it really heavy. Some days I just want to do some simple bodybuilding. Again, Ghost Face program at garagestrength.com. Until next time, guys, peace. What's up, freaks? We're gonna give you the best warm-up for old man strength, and we're gonna start right now. Okay, so we're gonna go over the 5 best exercises for old man strength. I think, whoa, right there's a great example. As we get older, as we age, we struggle with neural stability, we struggle with canceling out that noise, right? So we're always sort of like a little shaky, we're a little bit stiff, we're a little sluggish. You see like a rigid guy walking around. And so we've got to think about how can we improve the function of our joints? How can we improve the function of our stability? And how can we actually enhance our brain power as well? And so that first key exercise that I really like to use is the PVC pipe walks. And so one, as we get older, we tend to have a little bit more inflammation in our plantar fascia. Okay, so we might have, let's see if I can do this. Stand on one foot. We might have some problems here throughout our foot. Shoot. We might have some tight Achilles tendons. Look at me, I can barely stand on this. But as we loosen up, our feet are gonna get a little bit more limber, our stability is gonna improve, our knee joint and our ankle mobility is gonna start to be improved as well. So I really like to use PVC pipes and walk around to try and really wake everything up. And if you struggle with PVC pipe walks, you can use a technique stick that we sell at garagestrength.com to help with your balance and your stability. So you can just do this for your first couple warm-up sets, and then you can get rid of that technique stick. So that second exercise that I like to use is walking backwards up the steps. And we can even use, you know, the hand guard, the hand railing there for our balance. We walk backwards. So not only are we walking backwards, which is great for our equilibrium and for waking all of our body up and for getting our quads and our knees to get mobile, but we can also focus on our balance. And as we get warmed up with the PVC pipe walks and we're walking up steps backwards or walking up a hill backwards or just walking backwards in general, now we start to wake up, we get the heart rate going, and we start to feel really, really good for that old man strength workout. So that third exercise to warm up is a movement that I stole directly from Ben Patrick. Now, everybody's been doing this before Ben really popularized it. But the thing that I'm stealing from him is how it is so imperative for a warm-up because what it does for your ankles, what it does for your heart rate, what it does for your knee joint, okay? So just easy walking backwards. And historically, I've always just wanted to pile on as much weight as possible. But what I learned from Ben, just put 225 pounds on the sled. If you're a woman, you do 185 pounds. So what this does is it helps you wake up your knees, wake up even your lower back, because as you turn around, you have to drive hard through your ankles, you have to drive hard with your quads, and even with your glutes. And this is gonna help improve that ankle stability and that ankle range of motion, which in turn is gonna enhance the structural integrity of your knees. Hey guys, before we continue with that warm up to help you in the weight room, I'm gonna give you something that's gonna help you warm up for those most intimate of moments. When it comes to intimacy, we all want to feel confident with our partner, but for a lot of guys, erectile dysfunction can be a huge roadblock. This issue affects people differently, but is more common than you think and is actually experienced by over 52% of men. More men experience ED than don't. If this feels like something that you've experienced in the past, I really recommend checking out today's sponsor, Roman. Roman can connect you directly with a licensed US healthcare professional for a free telehealth consultation from the privacy of your own home. If appropriate, the provider will find the treatment that is right for you and prescribe effective medication. The entire process is super easy to figure out. So if you think this is something that will help you, you can head to getroman.com/garage strength to complete your free consultation and find out if this is the right treatment for you. And by using our link, you will get $15 off your first month of ED treatment from Roman. Again, that's getroman.com/garage strength. Now that we warmed up your lower body, it's time to warm up your legs. Okay, so our fourth exercise is going to be a banded squat. Now I want to show you a couple little tricks here, and if we can just go back and recall, if we need to do a really good warm up as older dudes, right? So I think older guys, 35 plus, okay? Yes, if you're 50 and you're watching this, you're older than I am. I know, but I'm still also older, okay? So let's keep that clear and let's think about the problem areas are gonna be our ankles, our knees, our lower back, our hips, and our shoulders, okay? I know these are pretty much problem areas for all athletes, but as we age, we have a little bit more wear and tear and a little bit more inflammation, and that's why we need to warm those areas up with the PVC pipes, with the walking up the steps backwards, with the sled pushes, and now as we get into this, banded squats. And so we've got two different bands that I like to use, and these are available at garagestrength.com. They're our power elastics, okay? So we have our mobility band here, and we've got our strength band here. And what I like to do is put this on my neck, okay? So I sit, and I just do a simple air squat, and as I get to the top, I get a little bit more tension, okay? A little bit more tension at the top. And I'll do a set of 10 with the mobility band, okay? Let's pretend I'm doing 10, and then I'll do some banded good mornings with the mobility band to wake up that lower back and my hamstrings, okay? And so now I got one set in. So that gets me nice and juiced up after I did the sled push, after I did the PVC pipe walks and the steps, and then I can just use some simple, I guess this would be progressive overload because it's a little bit thicker of a band. Now we can get the strength band. We rest for about a minute, we go right back into it. Squat, drive up, squat, drive up. And I even like to think, extend the hips, extend the knees pretty hard at the top, okay? Here, and then right into the banded good mornings. So as I'm doing this, I just realized I'm not giving you 5 exercises, I'm actually giving you 6 for a nice, good warm up for old man strength. Okay, so that next exercise, and this is gonna be another double movement here, so actually we're doing 7 instead of 6. I clearly cannot count before we prepared for this YouTube video. Anyway, another key factor is that a lot of us have bad posture, right? So we grew up in the computer age. We were sitting on AOL Instant Messenger back in the 90s, going through those chat rooms and everything. And so we started to develop back in the 90s and the 2000s that bad posture with our back, sort of like this, rounded upper back. So I think about this, I go, okay, what can we do to warm up and to really activate our thoracic spine a little bit more effectively? I just talked about those banded squats and those banded good mornings. And so what I also like to do is factor in some upper body movement here, okay? So we can go squat, rotate, press here. Squat, rotate, press. And so as we're doing this, squat, rotate, press, we're really, really improving that thoracic rotation. And a lot of guys are gonna almost feel like cobwebs are getting blown out of their upper back. Now, again, I like to use the mobility band first. Okay, this has great tension. It helps with your elbow extension, it helps with your shoulders, it helps you feel that retraction in your scaps and that rotation. You also start to engage your trunk a little bit more. And then as I get into that second or third set, after I start to really loosen up, I move up into the strength band. And so again, the cool part with our power elastics is that we can put them on our feet, and now we get a little bit more tension. Squat, turn, press, okay? Squat, turn, press. And I wanna turn almost 90 degrees, okay? Here, press, here, press. And so even if you don't wanna do that squat because you just did the banded squats, you can just go rotate, press, rotate, press, rotate, press. Okay, and that 7th and final exercise is gonna be focusing on your shoulders and your elbow extension, okay? So I like to hit band pull aparts with the power elastics, and I'll even come here and think about squeezing my spine with my shoulder blades, okay? So I'm giving my spine a little bit of hug with my shoulder blades, okay? And then I've got that wonky elbow that barely ever extends. I mean, it actually never extends. And so sometimes I'll even do some elbow extension pull aparts here and then lead into that band pull apart with this. And this is simple. You can pair this with a banded rotation and press, use these together to help wake up that upper back and improve your shoulder integrity. And so when we're getting older and we have more inflammation, we lack really good stability because we're not as limber as we were when we were younger. Our nervous system's not firing as well. We're starting to lose some myelin sheathing, okay? So the PVC pipes are great. Walking backwards unilaterally up the steps, that's amazing to help you loosen up and warm up. Sled pull backwards, sled push forward. 225 pounds, go through that 3 or 4 times. Banded squats, banded good mornings, and then you finish with the mobility band or the strength band doing squat, rotate, press to help improve your posture. These are all key exercises that you can use before you start to smash that old man strength program. And guess what, guys? If you wanna get stronger as an older dude, we've got a link, the Old Man Strength Program. Click on the link down below, head over to garagestrength.com and you can pick up this program. It's a simple program that you can go through and execute week by week to help you get stronger, to maintain those gains, and even improve that lean muscle mass as you age. So again, head over to garagestrength.com, pick up the Old Man Strength Program, and remember, always guys, cultivate your power. Peace. I'm gonna give you 5 key tips to old man strength. And if you stay till the end of this video, you're gonna get a free gift valued at 40 bucks. And we're gonna start right now. What's up everybody, it's Dane Miller from garagestrength.com, and if this is your first time to the channel and you're interested in getting stronger, you wanna be more fit, you wanna develop some old man strength, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you ring that notification bell so we can help you become a beast. So if you ever encountered an old dude who just has phenomenal grip strength, maybe you're goofing around and all of a sudden they put their claws on your neck and you feel like it's this iron grip that's gonna break your spine. Or you see an older guy and you're out, you have to move something and you guys are farming or you're outside doing housework, whatever, and this 50-year-old dude just walks up, picks up some odd object, and it's absolutely impressive. You're sitting there like, how the heck did that old guy do that? And for me, I believe that is the perfect definition of old man strength. I think old man strength comes into those 3 different categories. It's picking up random objects that they have no business picking up. It's that phenomenal grip strength. You go to shake somebody's hand and you're like, dude, that guy's grip when you shook his hand was stupid strong. And then finally, if you're closer to the age of 50 than you are to the age of 20, you definitely have old man strength. And so we're gonna go into those 5 key tips and what actually goes into developing that old man strength. So that first tip is gonna be plan your mobility inside of your actual workout. A lot of old dudes, myself included, love to skip their mobility, and that ends up hindering how we can make progress. That actually ends up hindering our recovery. And what's stupid about it is that if we plan our mobility work and we come up with unique ways to train mobility and we put it inside of our workout, now we can actually use those different forms of mobility to improve our performance inside of each and every workout. And so a good example would be, all right, I'm warming up for back squats. I might deadlift after this. I'm warming up. What can I do for mobility? If I want to be a little more mobile in my back, I want to be more mobile in my hips, I want to be more mobile in my ankles, I can do pause back squats. I can do a little bit of weighted mobility. I can sit down on the bottom. I can do some almost similar to PNF, not exactly that, but we can sit down on the bottom. You can lengthen your back. You can lengthen those ankles and feel that bottom position. You feel a little bit more limber, and then all of a sudden, you've got a little bit better tension and control as you work out of that bottom position. So being creative with your mobility can go a long way, and it can help potentiate your workout. How much pressure do I have through my foot, the front of my foot, the back of my foot? My hips feel nice and loose, my upper back's upright, my gut is flexed, and now I'm driving out of that hole nice and tight. So now I have that good mobility through my hips, I'm applying that good force, I'm having that good cognitive spark for my training session, so I'm really starting to wake up. So utilize unique mobility methods inside of your warm-ups and inside of your workouts so that you're a little bit more time effective, and that's gonna help you develop that old man strength. So that second key tip is gonna be making sure that you're fully embracing bodybuilding. And I think that that's one of the big things with all the older generation of lifters and dudes that used to hit up the gym back in the 80s, early 90s. They love to bodybuild, and that's one of the things now that I'm really realizing, not only from a sports performance perspective, but from myself as I'm starting to age and get older, is that you've got to engage with bodybuilding. You got to do really unique movements, simple movements like this with a band, where you can do simple curls, kickbacks. You can end up adding a ton of volume to your workout with these bands and still get that mechanical load, and that's gonna help with your recovery. That's gonna help get blood flow to those joints that might start to ache. Think about your elbows, your shoulders, even a little bit with your knees if we're gonna talk about Spanish squats. So I love hammering out a whole bunch of bodybuilding stuff, really high reps. You know, with these bands, you could sit here and do, forehead curls with the bands for 2 sets of 30, 2 sets of 40. And now all of a sudden, if you've got a little bit of tendonitis in your elbow, that starts to break up, you start to feel better, and that's gonna help boost up those main strength lifts that you wanna focus on. So the third big tip is to focus on time rest. One of the big things that can inhibit old man strength growth is a busy schedule. And so when you're actually training for old man strength, some of the big stuff that you gotta focus on is having those shorter rest periods. So if I'm taking a little bit shorter rest in between lifts, some of the big things that help me do is it actually helps me focus on what I wanna do and the task at hand. I'm not lost in my cell phone by other obligations. So the big thing here is that these timed rests force me to focus on what I'm trying to do inside of my workout. So use time rest to stay focused on the task at hand. Make sure that you're taking a minute, 2 minutes, and you continue to make progress throughout that entire workout. Ooh. That fourth key factor behind developing old man strength is really key to just focus on 1 or 2 big lifts per block. So what I like to do is, because I'm a meathead, it's either gonna be deadlift, it's gonna be bench. I like to pick an upper body lift, a lower body lift. So it's like, if I want to push my dumbbell bench press, then all of my intensity for that entire 4 weeks is going to be around the dumbbell bench. If I'm going to push deadlift, then all my intensity is based around that. The rest of the time is going to be based around bodybuilding stuff, mobility work, and that recovery work. So that could be, again, getting on the bike and doing some cardio. So it's really important. We're not 19, 20 to 25 years old anymore. As you start to train for old man strength, just focusing those efforts on 1 or 2 big lifts is key for maintaining structural integrity so that you can keep pushing it and you feel better from program to program. Getting that pump. 5th key tip is to focus on recovery and look at it as a way to focus on yourselves. If you're older, you've got a large family, you're running businesses, or you're working full time, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, you often don't take time to yourself to recover. So that means make sure that you're getting enough protein in so that you can recover from that workout. Do a little bit of cardio, get on the assault bike, do easy, steady state cardio. That's gonna help you recover. Do meditation. I even recommend going to therapy. Spend time working on your inner self. Do that meditation. And one of my favorite means of recovery is to sit in a sauna for 20 to 30 minutes. That's gonna help with that heat shock protein 70, help you recover a little bit easier, help keep that inflammation a little bit lower so that you feel better as you get into that next workout. So if you want more information about old man strength training, click on the link down below. You can head over to garagestrength.com, put in your email address, put in your name, put in your address, and enter in your payment information, and you'll get an entire month of training for free. That's for free, an entire month of the Ghostface program. If you want more videos, more content about old man strength training, click on this card right here. Until next time, guys, peace. What's up, freaks? We're gonna react to the best exercise for old man strength, and we're gonna start right now. So Ben Patrick, AKA Knees Over Toes Guy, was on the Joe Rogan Experience talking about knee health and talking about all the different things that you can do to improve the stability, the functionality, the integrity of your knees. And I think that a lot of older guys, and not just older dudes, people in general that are involved in resistance-based training and strength-based training always tend to have some type of knee pain. One of the big things with Ben Patrick is that he really goes into all the different things that he's done to help with his own knee problems from his past, playing basketball, playing other sports that have led to knee issues. And now he's got a lot of those big answers because of trial and error. So let's see what he has to say.
Yep. Your exercises have 100% made my knee stronger. Well, 100%.
I appreciate that.
It's really amazing.
So with those kicks, and a lot of people out there can relate because it's something you want to do. It's not like that's the healthiest thing for your knee to go with this. I mean, the amount of torque is probably like in the thousands of pounds every time you throw out a kick if you add all that force. And it's the same with jumping. Playing basketball is not good for your knees,
right?
But I want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where the sled comes in because.
Okay, so that's like a big factor here is that a lot of us want to do things that aren't good for our knees. So Ben's talking about leg kicks for Rogan, who likes to train MMA style training. Ben's talking about himself personally, he likes to dunk and land, and there's a lot of force on the knees when you land. And the thing is, as you get older, that force just continues. It's this chronic buildup over time that can lead to a whole bunch of issues inside of your knee joint. And so that's when he brings in some of these different exercises.
Every step that you're going backward, you're strengthening your knee. But there's a fundamental difference between the sled and any other exercise that I do. The difference is that only you move the sled. So the sled never moves you. When you do squats or anything like that, you're taking some degree of risk. The weight is going to move you down, and then you're going to move it back. So last time I was in LA, I'm on the roof of my...
Pulling the sled backwards and that moving the sled backwards is one of the best things for his knee health. And he's talking about how the sled can never be moved unless the individual is moving it. Whereas if you're doing a back squat, the bar will move you.
Apartment, and I have one of those internal resistance sleds up there. And my neighbor's 82, and he wants to join me for a workout. He doesn't know who I am. I can instantly put him on a sled. And this is an internal resistance one that you can push and you can go backwards.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, if you pull up my Instagram, I put so that anyone listening can get the world's fastest education, meaning I made for the podcast, I spent the last week preparing 6 posts in order. So let's go to that one on the top left. The current human exercise fundamental is walking forward with a machine doing the work for you, a treadmill.
Yeah.
Okay? It should be the human doing the work. Even pushing a sled would be so much better. You can put an older person on pushing a sled. Only they move the sled, so you don't have the with a squat or something like that, there's a lot more chance of injury.
Right.
But we want those effects of a squat. But for example, I go 6 days a week I sled, and 1 day a week I squat. You see the difference there?
Is that what you do?
6 days. Every workout I sled first.
Really?
It doesn't matter if it's upper body. I sled first.
So is that...
I think one of the interesting parts here is I remember Christian Thibodeau talking about this, and I think Poliquin earlier, like mid-2000s, like 2012, 2013, was even talking about stuff like this, where basically when you're pushing or pulling a sled, it's essentially, it's like eccentric-less. There's still some eccentric loading, but it's minimal. And that's where a lot of people, when you're doing the eccentric, as you age, now here's the point of clarity has to be, eccentric motion can lead to incredible amounts of strength improvements, incredible amounts of neurological adaptation, which improves coordination, which then leads to while you're moving weight. If you're an athlete, eccentric training is phenomenal. If you're growing up and you're starting to get more coordinated, the eccentric movements are phenomenal. As you age, they can lead to some chronic issues, chronic scar tissue over time. So it's interesting because it is accurate. Now, the other weird part behind eccentric-based training is that eccentric training can improve tendinopathy. So if I have like a wrist problem or something, you know, I go to pick up a cast iron pan and my wrist hurts, I can do really, really slow 10 to 15 second controlled eccentrics, and that can actually help with my tendon strength. But if I'm doing really fast eccentric loading or something like that, where there's a really quick reaction, over time, you know, by the time you're 35, 40 years old, that can lead to a lot of stress on your body. So it's finding like, look, the sled work is essentially eccentricless, which helps strengthen your body in coordination and improves blood flow to specific regions without really banging up your body. So it is awesome.
That's how I warm up. But it gets my cardio in. If you go right to the second post, someone can see exactly the benefits I'm talking about. You actually get
He went on Joe Rogan and he had 6 posts fully prepared, so just in case this conversation happened, he could roll through it. It's so awesome. I'm so jealous.
For sure.
Okay. And so I think most of us humans, we're missing training our feet.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Right. So right off the bat, and you were mentioning Louis Simmons and the reverse hyper and how it's like how you can rebuild it back. When you push a sled, you get a very similar effect because you're not loading your spine.
Right.
So pushing a sled and then going backward at least as much. So I do more backward than I do forward, but I sled every day. So every time I work out, the first thing I do is I sled.
No kidding, because I've only been doing it once a week, and I've been thinking, you know, like, oh, I don't want to overdo this.
And that's what's interesting is that it's a...
Okay, so that is actually, so Rogan says, you know, he's only doing it once a week. I do think that as we're getting older, we should be hitting this, you know, a sled push, pull, side sled drives, because that's going to help with your ankles. And they're even talking about foot strengthening. We talk about that quite a bit with PVC pipe walks and stability around those areas. So I'm going to start doing it 5 days a week. I do it about twice a week. But again, Ben's even talking about the cardio aspect and how it can help your heart functionality. So we're going to go downstairs, see how it feels, see exactly what I feel. Will I feel this in my knees? Will I feel this in my quads? Will I feel it in my ankles? And then how can that transfer over to old man strength? Let's be honest, guys. As we get older, our bodies don't always want to cooperate with us. And that's not just in the gym. That's also in the bedroom. When it comes to intimacy, we all want to feel confident. But for a lot of guys out there, erectile dysfunction gets in the way. This issue affects people differently, but is actually something that over 52% of men will experience. More men experience ED than don't. Guys, if this sounds familiar, and this is something that you've dealt with, I recommend checking out today's video sponsor, Roman. Roman can connect you directly with a licensed U.S. healthcare professional for a free telehealth consultation from the privacy of your own home. If appropriate, the provider will find the treatment that is right for you and prescribe effective medication. The entire process is super easy to figure out. So if you think this is something that will help you, you can head to getroman.com/garage strength to complete your free consultation and find out if this is the right treatment for you. And by using our link, you will get $15 off your first month of ED treatment directly from Roman. Again, that's getroman.com/garage strength. Now, let's head downstairs and start pulling some sleds. I think one of the best aspects behind this style of like, one, it's knee health training, but also like somewhat endurance-based training is that it's not like horrible. It's not like one of those workouts where you're like, I don't want to do this. It's like a lazy man's workout. It's like, all right, I can do it. I'll set a timer. I'll get at least, 10 minutes of good movement in. I'll get a really good quad pump, even a little bit at my glutes. I can sort of change the angle if I want to go here, play around with it, come more upright, so I lean a little more into it. But I think the biggest thing is that someone like me who's always had this life, the small quad life, my quads have never gotten as pumped as they do from this. And then it's like, you know, walking backwards, big here, big drive. It feels really good on the knees. It feels really good on the top of my knee. Gets my heart rate up. So listen to Ben talk about this and how important it can be, how easy it is. I'm trying to think about, okay, if you don't have access to a gym like this, where you have a sled, you know, I'm thinking about back in the day at the old garage, we actually used to push the sled out on the road. So you could even do that, you know. You're in a development, go outside, walk back and forth, 10 to 20 minutes. Your knees are gonna feel better. You're gonna feel stronger, you're gonna feel healthier, and you're gonna feel a lot better when you wake up in the morning and you're walking down those steps. So, is walking backwards with this sled the best exercise for old man strength? I would argue, yes, but pair that with sled push as well. You're gonna feel good. You're gonna get good leg strength. You're gonna get good leg drive. Your endurance is gonna go up from the cardio aspect. Knee health is gonna improve. And those are all areas that old dudes need to constantly work on. And also thinking about being healthier, having more lean muscle mass. If your total daily energy intake or energy expenditure is here, the whole goal is that we've got to keep that intake a little bit lower. And moving heavy weight helps meathead old guys stay healthy, increase their cardio, and burn more calories, which ultimately, hopefully, will lead to a longer life. Get yourself a sled, figure out some way, and if you can't even have a sled, walk up a hill backwards, figure out a way to get a massive quad pump, strengthen those knees, get your heart rate up, try and keep the caloric intake a little bit lower. And if you need help as an old dude, you want to stay strong and be healthy, pick up the Old Man Strength program. You can click on the link down below, head over to garagestrength.com. Until next time, freaks, cultivate your power. Peace. I'm gonna tell you how you can get stronger while you age, and we're gonna start right now. Now that I'm getting older, right, I'm 37, I always will say, just to clarify, you're getting old once you're over 35. Once you start getting closer to 50 than you are to 20, you're getting old. So, stuff that I like to do is warm up properly, okay? Do some mobility work, do some PVC pipe work. A lot of people struggle with that and they'll be, oh my gosh. They're going like, and so do that because it's gonna help you get a little bit more balance. And then I also like to do, even when we're doing upper body work, this is gonna be an upper body workout, is doing lunges backwards, walking forward right afterwards, okay? So you're going forward, here, and then backwards walking, backwards sled pull, anything along those lines is gonna help you with your proprioception, with your balance, with your stability. And then always doing some good band work to warm up. I like doing some reverse flies here, some external rotations, and we got our power elastics. This is our mobility band, okay? A lot of meatheads, as we age, we're like,
no, I don't need a mobility band. I don't need to do that stuff.
and that's a problem, okay? Then you're not gonna last as long. You're not gonna be strong when you're 50. And we wanna be strong when we're 50. And that's where doing a good warm up, using the mobility band from Power Elastics, and that's gonna help you get nice and yoked up so you can actually hit some decent weight as you age. So a lot of strength charlatans might say that we shouldn't be benching. There's no reason for you to actually bench press. It's just gonna terrorize your shoulders and your elbows. But that's if you're not training properly and you're not warming up properly. And that's where when we're warming up as we age, we know eccentric tendinopathies work. So one of the best things that we can do as we get older is to warm up at decent weight, you know, let's say 50, 60%. And you just sit here and you go, all right, I want to do 8 to 10 second eccentrics to try and really strengthen my tendons, really strengthen my joints. And then as we work through the sets, we're gonna feel a little bit better, and we can take that isometric workout, that eccentric workout, and we're gonna feel nice and strong so that we can still hit those big weights. Okay, so after we do a decent warm up, we're doing those slow eccentrics and a little bit of a pause on the chest. And I also like to use that fat bar just because it does help with that recruitment of my prime movers when I'm in the bottom position. So I think as we keep working up, we've got to have a goal in mind. Like when we're getting older, we're not going to be as strong as we were when we were younger, right? So if I can sit there and say, hey, let's hit this 315 for a set of 5. Nice easy set of 5. And then do one more set where I go 365 or 385, something like that. Well, now that's where I'm gonna hit that big number, and then afterwards I can back down and I don't have to beat myself up and do 10 sets at that big time weight. I can just hit 2 or 3 sets there, and then the rest of the workout is gonna be set up to really foster and grow off of those main heavy strength sets. First key factor here to get stronger as you age, you do the good warm up, and then when you get into the bench, if you're doing whatever that strength movement is, you go in with those nice slow eccentrics, you ramp up to 1 or 2 heavy sets, and then you can hit a drop set. So I'm gonna hit this here for probably an easy set of 3, hopefully easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I hit the drop set, 30 pounds over Mason's PR. And then what we're gonna do, or that's the strength set, we're gonna drop off the 25s, okay? And then we're gonna hit a drop set now, 315 right away. One of the biggest things that I think guys get away with, or they get away from, is that as they age, they start to do less bodybuilding work. And I actually think that as we age, we've got to do more because you just feel a little bit better. You get better blood flow. So just a little drop set here after that set of 5 at 365. 7. Now it feels good. I feel strong for the day. And then we're gonna hit the rest of that workout so you can see how you can continue to get stronger as you get older and bald like me. Right, Mason? Okay, now that I have a bed I can actually use, I like doing dumbbell inclines. Neutral grip, okay? Neutral grip, and with this band, what it does is it forces the rear delts, forces my rhomboid to be more active and hug the spine, hug the bench. So I like to come down, do a little pause, press. And what you'll feel is your medial delt will get a nice pump. Okay. And your tries will start to blow up. So I just got owned by that strong band. And I only wanted to use that because it doesn't rip out my arm hair. But instead, I got owned, use that blue band. I'm gonna work up a little bit, but really focus on 10 to 15 reps. Now we wanna work on those positions, right? Being stable, being strong in the joint, making sure that we're doing a little bit of pause, staying neutral, and just keep working into the realm of the rep ranges that's gonna give you that sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. 3 sets, let's say you hit 3 decent sets, loosen it up. What I wanna do now is I got a little bit heavier. Hopefully I can get this up. So we're here, get that pause, 1, 2. Oh, that band. This band is awesome. Old dudes, over 35, with 4 kids, use little tricks. Steal from the functional guys. That's what who all talk trash. Oh, that's functional, but there's some functional stuff like that helps us get stronger so that when we're 50, we're still bigger than the functional bros. So I just hit that. I'd like to get 5 pull-ups. My goal, we should do a little rewind to this video in 15 or 13 years, is that when I'm 50, I still want to be able to do 10 pull-ups. So hitting pull-ups all the time is key. Oh yeah. So we got heavy bench right after we did all that mobility stuff to warm up. We did a little bit of dumbbell strength work, a little bit of hypertrophy work. Now we're gonna finish this off with some good work. It's gonna get us a major pump and help us with our lower back. Can you make this video? I want it to go out next week. I'm not really good at planning ahead. Even when Dane tells me on our project management tool, hey, buddy, I know this is gonna be your backed up week. This is gonna be the hard week. I'm still just not gonna listen to him though. So what we're doing right now, other than interrogating and destroying our employees, is smashing with our Power Elastics strength band, ghost face kickback. So, classic tricep kickback right here, right? No old dude wants to do that. That's a meathead. They're like, oh, kickbacks are for babies. But if you utilize the ghost face kickback with a Power Elastic band, you get dummy pumped, okay? Your elbows are gonna feel nice and good. So I like to do 3 sets of 30 of the ghost face kickback so I feel good in my elbows. And then if I do 30 here, I head over and I have some lower back pain here and there, okay? My mobility is decent, but just having kids, like picking your kids up, splitting firewood, doing whatever I'm doing, sometimes my lower back flares up because we're getting old. And I believe that this exercise is one of the best things that you can do for your lower back, right, Taman? And that is a Duffin row. So if I post up here, I post up with my left knee, want that back leg straight. Come up, lower, and you don't want to twist, okay? You want to stay nice and stable and squeeze through your gut. And I'm going to show you, it's hard when I switch. This is my pathetic side. So I tend to flare up on my lower left. That's where I decelerate. As a shot putter, that tends to be my flare up point. And I tend to rotate a bit more when I do my right side because I don't stabilize on that left side as well. So you can do a little bit of bodybuilding with a little bit of work here. It's gonna help your trunk. It's gonna help with rotation. It's gonna stabilize everything and prevent some lower back issues that might flare up as you age. So remember, if we're gonna work through all this, good mobility, good strength work, decent dumbbell unilateral work that can help with strength and sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Finish that off with some bodybuilding. And we've got a whole program, Ghost Face program. The first month is 50% off. It's like $13 or something like that. It's the exact program that I do every single month. So if you want to pick that up, the first month, 50% off. Click on the link down below. Head over to garagestrength.com. Start getting on those Ghost Face gains. Until next time, guys. Peace.